My name is Richard Aguirre. I'm here on behalf of Working for Goshen, which is the Democratic candidates in the city elections.
Greetings, family and friends from Goshen, Indiana. I have the honor, the blessing, quite honestly, to be with Richard Aguirre, Goshen Treasurer, and you're running for re-election this November, correct?
Correct. November 7th election.
November 7th. Richard, we're a great honor to have you finally.
Oh, it's my honor to be talking to you.
And you have been a long-time Goshen resident, and also you have worked in the community, and some members of the community know who you are, a lot of them actually. But tell us a little bit about your background. How long have you been working for Goshen City? And
I like to mention my family. I was one of 7, born of a woman who was a factory worker, and my father was a carpenter. The family was originally from Texas, but we moved to California when I was quite young. My dad went there to try to have a better life in California for the family. And although neither one was able to get past the 8th grade, they dreamed of a better life for their kids. And that's a story of Latinos all over the country, trying to better themselves, trying to have something better for their kids. And my parents had a dream that their kids would go to college, and I was the first in my family to graduate from college and get a white-collar job. My dad used to show me his hands. He had hands that were damaged because of the work he did outside as a carpenter, and he had thick calluses on his palms, and the back of his hands were like all gnarled and cut up. And he said, "My son, my dream for you is that you have soft hands." And that dream was accomplished. So I never apologized for having soft hands, because my dad didn't want me to do the kind of work that took his life when he was only 64. He was a very young person, but physically he was probably like in his 80s and his age-wise, because of the hard work that he had done. So I was a journalist, and that's how I was trained as a journalist. And I worked as a journalist for 26 years for newspapers in California, Texas, and Oregon. And then I moved to Goshen in 2006 for a job at Goshen College. And it was at the time when Goshen College was trying to increase the number of Latino students. And so that became my passion at Goshen College, in various positions that I had, to try to increase the number of Latinos. When I arrived at Goshen College, the percentage of Latinos were only about 4 or 5%. By the time I left, it was 25%. And so that was a dream for me to see that. I then had the opportunity, because of a vacancy, to win appointment as Clerk Treasurer for the city of Goshen. And so as Clerk Treasurer, I'm in charge of managing all the money for the city, which is $100 million at once, at all a time, and managing all the records. And to have a position where I can have that responsibility and serve the public, but bring my sentiment of a Latino, has been something that's been a dream. And so I'm hoping to continue in that position, and I hope I will be elected on November 7th to continue to do that work.
Yeah. I'm not sure, you probably do know, but it is important for the rest of the Latinos to see that we are represented in the city government.
Absolutely.
And to see that, Richard Aguirre is one person that speaks Spanish.
Right.
You can approach him, talk to that person, and you've done a lot of not door-to-door.
Right.
People.
I have. One of the things that I am proudest of, and it was for the grace of God that this happened, was in 2017, there was a proposal to build an immigration detention center in Elkhart County. And I knew I had to fight that. I knew I had to oppose it. So I helped organize a community coalition that helped defeat that from happening. And it wasn't me alone, but I was able to help organize that effort. And it's the proudest thing I am of in my life, that I helped stop an immigration detention center from being built here. Mayor Jeremy Stutzman rallied the business community and the civic community, but without the grassroots opposing it, I don't think that would have happened, and he would say the same thing. So I have continued to have that sentiment of wanting to help Latinos. I'm on the board of the Center for Healing and Hope, which provides medical care for uninsured people, and it also provides advocacy and financial assistance to immigrants, and I'm on the board of that. I helped develop the ID program that we have in Goshen for people. So those are some of the things that I've done. So I've not forgotten my roots. I've not forgotten my obligation to help others. But in the job of clerk treasurer, I can also bring a different sentiment to that job and a different perspective. And I'm always trying to figure out ways for the Latino community to be more part of what Goshen is about.
That's awesome. We had the privilege to talk to Gina Lichter today at the studio.
Nice.
And we were talking about the growth that Goshen has experienced in the last many years. And she attributes that to the growth in the Hispanic community.
Absolutely.
And now that you're mentioning the services you have done to our community, I'm thinking what it takes to create a new breed of leaders for public servants.
First of all, it's going to need Latinos to be involved in all layers of society, including philanthropy. My dream is that Latinos will be so successful in Goshen in all areas of the community, education, business, medical, all sectors of society, and frankly, represented in both political parties. Because when you are at the table in both political parties and then can give back to the community. So my dream is that the Latinos will be so successful, they will become leading philanthropists, giving back to the community, not only financially, but in terms of their time and their service. So that's really my dream for Goshen.
Yeah, now that you mentioned the how important it is to have representation in both political parties, I would like to talk about the perception about what's happening at the big political stage. And I think it has a big influence on people. Some Hispanics, you can say, are on the right side as far as being conservatives. But at the same time, at the local level, at the city level, there's not much of a difference in speaking of the philosophy of things. It's more about the service. It's more about the engagement.
You're absolutely right, because I could probably count on one hand the number of partisan votes that have been taken on the city council in the last 2 years. Most of the decisions are unanimous. In fact, the last 7 city budgets were approved unanimously by the council, Democrats and Republicans. So even though we have a Democratic mayor and clerk treasurer and a Republican-led council, when you get into that room, decisions are made for the benefit of Goshen people. And we're lucky for that, because there are so many communities and states and Congress where party is the only thing that matters. And unfortunately, that has had a little bit of spillover effect. I've gone door to door throughout Goshen over the last 3 months, and I've met people who have said they only vote by the individual, and I've had Republicans say they'll vote for me and Democrats who say they'll vote for me. But I've sadly also seen people who have been so influenced by what's happening in Washington, D.C., that they say, I'm a Democrat and I'll never vote for a Republican, or they'll say I'm a Republican and I'll never vote for a Democrat. And unfortunately, I also have people who say they don't want to vote in local elections, which is very sad to me, because local government has the biggest impact in our lives. It's not only the police protection and fire protection. It has to do with the pickup of your garbage and your recycling, the water that comes out of into your home, the wastewater treatment that's done. That is the direct influence in your life every single day. And when you say I don't want to vote, you're basically leaving it to others to determine what quality of government you'll have.
Yeah, I find a contradiction for people to want things to change but not engage into the political process of, voting. You have to vote. And this is one of our goals at the Goshen Chronicles. We want to inform our community, especially focusing on the Hispanic, bilingual, bicultural, that seems to be not very engaged into the political process at this moment. But we like to, create some consciousness into making sure they know how important that is.
And Miguel, you know this better than me, probably, that the places where people have come from, they have unfortunately sometimes come from dysfunctional political systems.
Yes. So they don't believe in democracy.
My wife and I led the Goshen College's study service term for a year in Peru, 2013 to 2014. The presidents of Peru, before I arrived, a few of them were in jail for corruption. After we left, a few are in jail now for corruption. When you're in a country where they have corruption, when you have turmoil, people lose faith that government can be helpful to them, or that it's even honest. So I understand when people come here and they're cynical about politics or don't want to get involved. But I wish they would give it a chance, because I think we do have a country that has the goal for people to be involved and for us to have honest government and receptive government. But it can only be that way if people participate.
That is correct. Richard, it's an honor. It's really good
my honor
to speak with you, and we wish you the best in these elections, and hope to see you as treasurer more years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We hope that you can share this content. Please make sure you have questions. You can reach to Richard Aguirre. We still are going to be doing campaigning until what is the date?
November 7th is the election, and I'll be campaigning even on November 7th.
Excellent. So if you have any questions, reach out to Richard Aguirre. We'll put some information here so you can give him a call. And also make sure that if you have children that can vote, that are registered to vote, make sure they participate in these elections. This is an important part of the process in the democracy. And as new voters come to the ranks and as new members of our community are eligible to vote, it is extremely important that we all participate. So we ask you that you share this content, that you consider voting, and that you consider reaching out to Richard Aguirre as well. I am Magdalene Santiago, Mr. Richard Aguirre. This is the Goshen Chronicles. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks again. Great.